Hi, Aquarius. Welcome to your February 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Wow, when I was compiling this list, I was thinking, talk about a month that is just chock full of Aquarian energy. And I'm not even listing here Jupiter and Saturn, which I'm sure some of you who follow astrology already know about going into Aquarius back in December. Now we have Venus going here, joining the party. The sun is here as the month begins. So it's very notable. And I'm sure that a lot of Aquarians are going to have a memorable year because there is such an emphasis on your sign. So on the first day of February, we already have the sun in this sector and Venus goes here. Now, at the time of Venus entering your sign, we also have a Mercury retrograde underway in Aquarius. So that's another placement, transit in Aquarius. So that first house of the self is very full. And that means that you may be pushing forward with something that promotes you in some way. So whether you're launching something now, of course, with Mercury retrograde, you may hold off until later in the month when Mercury goes direct. But you're definitely thinking about, or you could be, I shouldn't say definitely about anything when it comes to astrology, but you might be rethinking something about your image, something about the way that you carry yourself. Does it really help you, promote you, or does it hold you back? And sometimes this can come as the result of somebody making a comment to you, giving you advice or maybe misunderstanding where you're coming from, and you think about it and you say, I can kind of get why they thought this way about me. And even with physical appearance, sometimes Aquarians, as if this is your rising sign, you may really tend to dress in a way that makes you unique, and you're very how can I say, passionate about this idea that you don't want to be cookie cutter, that you want to be your own person. But then you might realize that other people jump to conclusions. They don't give you the kind of props that you deserve. And even though you think that you shouldn't have to conform in order to get those things, you might actually soften your stance, or at least think about it. And this is because Aquarius is a very rebellious sign overall. And you do believe in freedom of expression when it comes to how you conduct yourself, including how you look, especially with the rising sign. That can really emphasize the person's choice of clothing, even their physical, what we'd call your actual body type and things like that. And sometimes you have to compromise in life because there might be a dress code or something like that. And all of this can come into play. And Venus goes into that first house on the very first day of the month. So that's interesting too, because you may actually get a makeover. And I'm kind of joking about that because even for female Aquarians, you might be one of the guys. I hope I don't catch any flack for that, because Aquarius is a masculine sign. So if a woman has this as her rising sign in particular, but the sun can also affect how you dress and look and things like that. It's not to suggest that only the rising sign will show this. I think especially as you get older, you will grow into your sun sign. But in any case, it is a masculine sign, so female Aquarians tend to be kind of tomboys, and that's not going to be true 100% of the time, obviously. But I don't see anything wrong with that, and I think that you can still create this image for yourself that is feminine and kind of sporty at the same time. It's not either or. So you may be like interested in your appearance, and you may actually be attracting things to you, whether it's people, places, or things that can enhance your life, because your Venus is the attractor. So when it's in our own sign, we tend to have that aura that other people are so responsive towards. And they may find us irresistible, even if you don't get like a makeover. And I believe that can even enhance finances, because Venus does rule the house of earned income. On the 11th, new moon, guess what sign? Your sign, 23 degrees of Aquarius. And so this is your new moon. And so what are you going to call into being for the next 12 months, Aquarius? Do you have dreams you'd like to share? Yeah, I mean, it's a really powerful time when you have your the full moon in your sign. And even if this is your rising sign, this is going to be in the first house, so it's starting a whole new cycle with this new moon. So, you don't necessarily have to write it down, but at least give some thought into how this year is going to be different than last year and the year before that, in terms of the things that you want to bring to fruition. On the 18th, the sun goes into Pisces, which is your second house of earned income. So that can be good for financial issues. The sun here puts your attention and the warmth, which to me, can represent everything, can represent generosity. It can represent creativity that you're putting into this area of the money that you earn. So an example would be coming up with a new income stream. And you will have a new moon here in March that can actually put this into motion. On the 20th, Mercury goes direct in Aquarius, and there again, that first house, resolving something about yourself that you have been kind of pondering. And this can just be about your life in general, the first house. Maybe what direction you want to go in life. Because the world is your oyster right now. With Jupiter there, Saturn is there as well, but Jupiter gives that sense of expansion to your life in Aquarius. And yet it can be almost like, oh man, what do I do? Do I do this? Do I do that? And feeling like, I think of the Seven of Cups in the tarot, of all these different choices. And sometimes you might even think, I wish I didn't have this many choices, because then it wouldn't be that hard to make a decision. But it's always good to have options in life, I think. On the 25th, Venus goes into Pisces. So Venus is a ruler of that second house, and that can mean that it's a double, well, it is, it doesn't have to mean that, it is a double Venusian energy, which means that it enhances the opportunity to attract money to you, because the planet that rules the money house is transiting its own house. And so we have the sun there, now we have Venus there, and this is about bringing, becoming a money magnet, having it attract, attracting it to you. And meanwhile, having all these other planets in the first house can mean that there's something about you, the way you are carrying yourself, promoting yourself, that is making this possible. On the 27th, we end the month, or the day before the end of the month, with a full moon at 8 degrees of Virgo. So this is an earlier degree of Virgo, and this is going to be, for you, the 8th house. And the 8th house is a psychological house. But I should tell you that, Aquarius, that many of you will actually have this in the 7th house, because this is at 8 degrees. And so if you're 0 to 8 degrees of Aquarius, this will likely be falling in that 8th house and will be very emotional and maybe even cathartic, because the 8th house can be about purifying, and so can the full moon. The full moon is a detoxifying thing, and the 8th house is an area that can deal with transformation. And so all of the things that kind of you are obsessed about and you need to bring to the surface, to, like, how they talk about lancing a boil, a boil filled with pus. I hope nobody's eating. But, you pierce it in its heart and you get rid of it, even though in the process it's painful and gross. I think the 8th house can be kind of gross, because the 8th house is what lies beneath the surface of life. And sometimes it's not very pretty. And this is a water house, because this is the house that Scorpio rules. So there can be all of that yucky stuff beneath the surface. The full moon kind of draws it out, brings things to the surface so they can be let go of. And so it can, like I said, it can be a great purification, transformation. But for most of you, this is actually going to be in the 7th house of committed partnership. So a relationship that has run its course may leave your life, and you may actually be the one who helps it along to leave. For others, this could be making the commitment to getting married or moving in together, that you are realizing that this is somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with. There can be this information that is coming to you, in an intuitive way, perhaps, that this person is the one. And so that could be very romantic for somebody like you, if you feel that way. So all in all, I think it's going to be great, especially as the month progresses, and Mercury goes direct. That might be kind of the turning point, because since Aquarius, Mercury is retrograding in Aquarius, you as a sign Aquarius may be feeling a lot of uncertainty or confusion about how you want to proceed in your life, and you need to kind of just review things in order to assess them, I should say. And then you can fully move forward, knowing that you're not just going on automatic, you're really intentionally creating your life. I'm very excited for you, because not only do you have a lot of transits in your particular sign, but then you have it in the money house as well. And that can be great for attracting financial well-being that can add to your independence, depending on what your personal goals are for this year. So that's what I have for you, Aquarius. And as always, if you would like to look at your me to look at your natal chart, look at the transits that are coming up for you for 2021. If you are listening to this as a sun in Aquarius, you have a whole other set of information because your rising sign may be any sign. And then that changes everything. And actually, the natal chart, which is what the rising sign is based on, really is the one that a lot of astrologers use to determine mundane events. And by the way, I mean, I'm of the mind that nothing is set in stone. So even transits may not come to pass if you do not put energy into them. And that can work both ways. I mean, that could actually be a blessing sometimes if you don't want a negative thing occurring too, I suppose. But in any case, please click on the link below for more information on how to order one of these readings. You can read a little bit better description of everything. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great month. Happy birthday. Take care. Bye.